Hello everyone and welcome back to the 25 Cards of Christmas, counting down the joys of this holiday season with the, well, joys of Magic the Gathering. Another day means another present under the tree. Let's see what's in store today. Do the holidays just make you go crazy sometimes? The shopping, the crowds, the music. It makes some go mad. A perfect representation for today's card, Braids, Cabal Minion. This demented mage may look out of her mind, but she certainly has quite the story to tell. Braids is a female mage from the plane of Dominaria, who got mixed up with the black-aligned organization known as the Cabal. She started off in the fighting pits, but soon rose to a prominent position when her magical prowess was discovered. Braids is known as a dementia caster, a type of mage who specializes in summoning horrors from their own personal dementia space, a place populated with the mage's greatest fears and all the beings they had killed. Her first job for the Cabal, which she fit into nicely since she was, off her rocker, was to lead the Cabalists sent to the capital of Oteria, the Cabal's area of operations, and catalog the valuable artifacts held within the vaults. While there, she encountered a merfolk named WOTC, an ambassador to Oteria. WOTC made a deal with Braids, allowing her to take any valuables she wanted in exchange for something called the Mirari, should she find it. Braids happily agreed to the terms. Now, Braids wasn't aware, but the Mirari is an orb of immense power and destructive capabilities. It has an aura which warps the wills of those trying to use it, typically ending in great misfortune. Yet, the artifact is heavily coveted for its ability to make those who wield it some of the most powerful people on Dominaria. While searching for this orb, Braids and her team discovered that it had already been found by Emperor Aboshan, the leader of the Cephalid Empire that controlled a large portion of Dominaria's oceans. The Cephalids are anthropomorphic octopus creatures who were belittled by the more superior merfolk, until Aboshan and WOTC overthrew the previous regime. Emperor Aboshan used the Mirari in an attempt to gain more power, but caused a third of Oteria to sink into the ocean, killing himself in the process. Braids later recovered the orb and found that she was immune to its evil lore. It turned out that being as crazy as she was made her mind resistant to control. Instead of using the orb, she pocketed it and made her way back to Cabal City to give it to her patriarch, Virat Maglin, known as the first of the Cabal. The patriarch was cautious with the Mirari, having known its destructive influence, but even he wasn't spared from misfortune, ultimately being exiled and forced to wander the world without the Cabal he had founded. He would surrender control of the Mirari and spend the rest of his days alone. Braids would bump into the Patriarch again, however. Helping him complete a small task, the enigmatic leader appointed Braids as his second in command. With her new position, the demented mage helped the fallen leader regain his former glory. But first, they needed to reclaim the Mirari. At this point, the cursed orb was in the possession of a barbarian named Kamal, a powerful pit fighter and brother to the planeswalker Jeska. The orb was working its magic on Kamal, making him abnormally aggressive and unpredictable, even for a barbarian. The time to reclaim the orb was now, but Braids and the Patriarch just didn't have the manpower. This is when Braids bumped into another familiar face, the merfolk WOTC, who wished to make an alliance with the Cabal to recover the Mirari. Braids was given 5 Snake Men assassins, and charged with ending the barbarian's life, taking the orb in the name of the Cabal. Unfortunately, this didn't go as planned. Their target was much more skillful than they all anticipated. The assassins who accompanied her were all slaughtered, and Braids herself barely made it out of the warrior's camp alive. She returned to the Cabal reinforcements with the bad news, suggesting against another attack, fearing they just didn't have the strength to take the Mirari at this moment. The ever-ambitious WOTC, however, was not done the hunt. He went on with his own band of commandos to bring down Kamal and claim the orb for himself. WOTC's ambush failed, leaving all his men dead and his hopes shattered. Before his own death, the tricky merfolk denounced his previous alliance with the Cabal to offer the barbarian a truce of his own. Betrayed, Braids zombified the dwarf barbarian Balthor and charged the minion with hunting and killing WOTC. As she wandered the forest, Braids just so happened to stumble across the home of a centaur who seemed to be harboring a special guest. After killing the protective guard, Braids discovered the injured sister of Cabal, Jessica, capturing and returning her to the patriarch of the Cabal. She would certainly be a useful bargaining chip for the Mirari. When the patriarch saw Jessica, rather than keeping her as a prisoner, he decided to kill the woman. The first of the Cabal had the unique ability to rot anything he touched. Placing his hand onto a person was enough to decay them from the inside out. But when he grabbed Jessica, she didn't die. She was somehow immune to this dark power. Through the strange combination of the patriarch's killing touch and Jessica's planeswalker spark, the girl was reborn as the corrupted Phage. Phage was as dark as the patriarch and just as deadly. Now known as Phage the Untouchable, she too had the power to rot anything her hands touched. The patriarch fell in love with this woman who now shared his affliction and commanded Braids to protect her at all costs. Later, as a means of protecting his sister, Cabal made a truce with the patriarch. His sights were now set on the illusion mage Ixidor, who had struck at his beloved Phage. He combined his Cabal forces, led by Braids, with the barbarians of Cabal. Together, they would march and destroy Ixidor. During the battle to come, Braids became injured and was eventually captured by Ixidor's created angel, Akroma. Akroma believed she could gather information from Braids, so she warped the Mad Mage's mind and made her into an acolyte who followed Akroma's religion. This religion worshipped the now dead Ixidor as a holy figure, but she eventually recovered and escaped back to the Cabal. When she returned, she discovered an unpleasant scene. The patriarch had grown tired of Phage, who had just given birth to a son of theirs, and was attempting to assassinate them both. Conflicted, Braids followed the First's orders and protected Phage at all costs, ultimately killing the patriarch by having one of her summoned nightmares rip him in half. For all her efforts, however, Phage would eventually meet her end by a swing of her brother's scythe. Her death triggered the formation of a powerful deity, an avatar of Dominaria's mana, named Corona. This powerful magical being stored within it all the mana of the plane, and thus was a coveted weapon for numerous different factions, including the Cabal. Braids claimed that Corona was theirs, since she was formed by the death of Phage. She didn't want Corona for her power, but for her presence. People all over Dominaria would want to come and catch a glimpse of this godly figure, of course, paying whatever price she asked. In her fanaticism to claim Corona, and the madness which spread throughout the people, Braids would meet her end. She was trapped in a collapsing building amongst thousands of others. In an attempt to save herself, she entered her own dementia space. Remember, this is the place where her greatest fears and nightmares exist, the source of all her powerful magic. To this day, none are sure of Braids' fate. She could be dead, or she could still be trapped in a nightmare of her own making, struggling to find a way out. During the Planar Chaos set, an alternate history for Braids formed. Rather than being a demented conjurer of nightmares, aligned with black mana, this alternate Braids is a humble magical researcher, devoting her life to knowledge and the alignment of blue mana. It's funny how one life can be so easily changed, if only some things turned out differently. So Braids' Cabal Minion isn't the cheeriest character to learn about this holiday season. But, you know what? We gotta examine the bad with the good sometimes. Although your mind was warped and you served a nightmarish realm, I'm still gonna allow you on my Christmas tree. That was truly an interesting story, but I'd like to remind you to stay tuned for tomorrow where we go over a dragon whose favorite meal is goblins. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hey guys, Simon here, just letting you know if you liked the video, you can support future content by liking it and sharing it with your friends. You can also support this channel by visiting my sponsors over at abugames.com. abugames.com is a leading online store for all things MTG, and without them, this series wouldn't be possible. You may even consider following me on social media or becoming a patron on Patreon. Through those means, you can stay up to date with the channel along with gaining access to special events and giveaways. You can find those links in the description below. Regardless, I wish you all a happy and safe holiday season.